Hey guys, so welcome to my channel, Side Gig Solo Mom. Today's video is all about how to start a online coaching business part-time. So a resource that I want to point you to right away is in the description. It is called Business Essentials, a checklist for new and emerging coaches. Please check that out in the description because this video is going to be all about going through that particular checklist, and there are 13 things that I want you to do in order to set up your online coaching business. Okay, so before we dive in though, if you find this content interesting, if you are a side gigger or a solo or a single mom and you think that this channel will be great for you, definitely hit the subscribe button below, and also tell me in the comments what you would like to hear from my channel. So as a side gigger, if you are considering starting a coaching business, and I'm going to explain what a coaching business is right away, but if you are thinking about starting a coaching business and you want to keep it to part-time, I do have the tools in order to help you manage how to do a full professional coaching business on a part-time basis. Or if, maybe you want to keep it as, as an additional supplemental income to your 9-to-5, or maybe you want to eventually transition to full-time coaching. In any case, this is going to give you a really good start in terms of how to set up your business for your coaching, how to get all your ducks in a row so that you are doing this in the most professional and wonderful way. And if I think back to about 10 years ago when I started my business coaching business, it was coming out of my MBA. And while I took an MBA, knew all about business, strategy, all that kind of stuff, like all the, MBA sort of theory stuff. And I was trained in a performance coaching model. So I'm a trained performance coach essentially. Coming out of it, I realized that, well, nobody told me actually how to start my own business, like as an entrepreneur, as a solo entrepreneur, right? So maybe I could go work for a bigger company. Maybe I can go give executive management advice, change management advice, all that kind of stuff as a management consultant or an employee, but nobody told me how to actually run my own management consulting company or start my own coaching business. So over the last 10 or 12 years, I've had to sort of figure it out on my own. And so this checklist that you're going to see in the description, that go ahead and grab it, it contains a list of things that I will stand by, that I've stood by for the last 10 years. And it's just in a nice little package. So definitely grab that. Okay, so one thing I will do for you is today I'm just going to go through the checklist rather quickly. I really just want you to have an overview of what it takes to set up an online business as a coach, and also how to do it on a part-time basis. I will be developing a playlist for new coaches, new and emerging coaches. So go and check that out. So go check out the new coaches playlist in my channel, and be sure to absorb all that content there. Again, I've been doing this for about 10 years. I've coached a lot of new coaches. People come to me wanting to share their expertise online. So essentially they're developing a coaching business, even though it may not look exactly like your typical life coach or your business coach. So it applies to you whether you are an expert that just want to sell their expertise online. So let's talk about, first of all, what exactly is coaching and what is it now, like nowadays. I think back in the day, say 10, 15 years ago, people wanted to be a life coach, or it was usually life coaches and business coaches, right? And then the life coaches became business coaches for life coaches, and that's kind of how it went down. But these days, in the knowledge space, anyone that can come in to the online space and essentially create a coaching business. If you are just coming in to start to do a coaching business, I highly recommend that you start off on one-on-one, even if your desire is to create group coaching, workshops, or just online courses that you want to sell. Okay, so whether you are an expert in your field and you want to come online and figure out how you can monetize what you know and sell it to the masses or sell it to a few people through intimate coaching, or if you have gotten a life coaching training or some kind of certification in coaching, like whether it's health coaching, and maybe you're also like a personal trainer that wants to come in and start doing either one-on-one personal training virtually or some kind of group program around fitness, this checklist can definitely still help you. Okay, so let's dive into the checklist. So number one, establish your tagline. Now you'll hear people talk about figure out who your niche is and what is it that you want to do. I like to keep things really simple. I'm not a huge fan of diving super, super deep in who your avatar is and what their hobbies are and where they're hanging out and all that kind of stuff. I feel like people really get stuck in that, and then it holds them back from actually getting out there and starting their business. So I'm not a huge advocate for that. However, I do want it to come from the heart. So there are strategies where you can, in order for you to figure out what your tagline is, where it can be a really nice, authentic thing for you, something that is sustainable long term. And I think that's the most important thing, is that your tagline has longevity. You want it to be able to stick with you for a very long time. And so what I tell people to do is, if they're stuck on what their tagline actually is, so number one, I have a framework or a sentence structure that is within the checklist. So definitely download that checklist and check it out. But if you can't really figure out what your tagline is, and that's essentially like, I help who with what, like I help what particular kind of person or niche with what kind of, to solve what kind of problem, right? So the way you can kind of figure that out is by telling your own story and having an authentic relationship to helping those particular people with that particular problem. Maybe it's something that a person that you identify as being or were in the past, and a problem that you had to go through yourself, and then that's the problem that you were there to solve for other people. Okay, so that's number one. Okay, number two is to create a vision statement that is aligned with your income and your lifestyle goals. I had to read this one. So it's a vision statement that is in line with your lifestyle and income goals. And I really feel like this is an important step, because I want you to have an understanding of the amount of income that you want to make, and also the amount of time that you want to actually spend in your business, and what is it that you're actually trying to achieve. Because if you don't have a really solid ground in this at the beginning, then you can get pulled away by all the bells and whistles. So again, grab the checklist. I give you an exact fill in the blanks statement that will help you along to create your vision statement. Okay, number three is decide on your individual session structure. So I personally like to be really structured within my individual sessions. And so if you have hour-long sessions, just chunk it out into sections. Like, just make sure that you're following a specific rhythm within those sections, because you want to make sure that your clients are feeling taken care of, and that it's just not like a willy-nilly process throughout. And I think that's one of the pitfalls around maybe I don't want to say some of the more abstract type of coaching, right? That is a little bit more around, I'll say, mindset, even energy and spirituality and things like that. Like, if you have a specific structure that you can take people throughout this session, it gives them structure, it gives them an expectation, and it gives them a sense of fulfillment throughout that whole session. Okay. Number four. So number four is outline at least 6 weeks of session topics. Okay, so here's kind of a beef, right? So I get clients coming in and they want to launch their coaching business, right? And they're trained in whatever coaching certification that they have, or maybe they're not trained in whatever coaching certification that they have, but they've been doing it in some capacity and they just want to help people, right? So what I notice is that they don't really have a structure for how they're going to run each individual coaching session, or even have an idea of what their first few coaching sessions may like. So when I started out, for example, I created a menu of things that I knew that I could help people with, okay? And then based on what they needed, I would prioritize those specific topics. Plus, I have a coaching model that I use inside the coaching session. So essentially, I'm giving structure inside the coaching session itself, so that people aren't really guessing what they're going to get out of a coaching session, right? Like they of course, there's going to be surprises, and you want to be present and take your clients to where they need to go in order to help them. But having a bit of structure and a bit of content planning around the journey that you want to take people through, whether it's over, and I'm saying start with the 6 sessions, but essentially you're going to at least have to have 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, a year and a half of topics or hurdles to take people through if you want to retain clients over the long run. So I say start with those 6 sessions, have them in your mind, what they might be, and then go with that. And then from there, you'll get the feedback from your first few clients to say, okay, this is working, this isn't working, and this is where I can take them longer term. Number 5 is decide how you're going to take payment. So this is also an interesting thing, because this will help with your sales, right? This will Give your client the confidence in the sense that you are organized, that you are ready to take a client, to take a paying client, right? So decide how you're going to take payment. I like to use a payment gateway like Stripe. There are other payment gateways there. I'm not a fan of e-transfers or even PayPal or sending people a button to pay. My preference is to take their credit card, enter it in yourself, and that way it helps you essentially close the sale. But it also takes the burden off of that person from going in, pushing on a button, entering their credit card information, and all that kind of stuff. And if you need more details on that closing or that sales process, I provide a training inside my membership, training called Mastering a Heart-Centered Sales Conversation. Just connect with me and I will hook you up with that training inside my membership. Okay, so that's tip number 5, decide on how you're gonna take payment. There's nothing worse than having a client ready to start with you and you have no way, then you fumble when you're trying to take the payment, and it could be like a week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks until they actually get the motivation to push that button or send you that e-transfer or send you a check in the mail or whatever it is. So I highly recommend having a payment gateway. You take their payment information and then you set it up, okay? And you can also decide whether you're going to do recurring payments or whether you're going to do pay in full, whether you're going to do payment plans and things like that. Have all that organized and decided ahead of time before, or at least early on in your business before taking on clients, okay? Okay, number 6 is designing your onboarding process. So for me, onboarding starts from the moment I start talking to someone who expressed interest in my coaching services. I really believe that what happens before they actually decide that they're going to engage in your services is equally as important to what happens immediately after they decide that they're going to work with you, after they give you the payment, right? And that first, I'm going to say at least month of experience, right? Or even 3 months of experience, I'll say. So decide on what your onboarding process is. It's extremely important for lots of reasons. I'm not going to dive in it today, but if you guys want to hear more about that particular topic, just comment in the comments below and I'll make sure to make videos around that, okay? Okay, tip number 7 is set up your filing system, a client management system, and a session tracking system. So it doesn't have to be really complicated. You don't have to use a software if you don't want to. I'm old school, I still use paper. I buy pretty folders. I have my active clients organized in an active folder section of my desk. And then I've got a front page where I just mark down the day that they started with me, how they paid, what the payment arrangement is, what their longer term visions are, and then I just track each session and I track what we talk about in each session and what I need to address in the following session, etc. So, I mean, you can also use a CRM system, and that helps you track longer term. Because chances are, if you are a good coach, your clients will continue to come back to you over the years. So they may start with you. I know I've had clients return. Some of my very first clients, they came back to me in the last couple of years, and I've been at this for 10, 12 years. So definitely have a client management system, a way to track each session, and a way to just keep track of your clients. In like a nice organized file system. Number 8 is to make sure that your business is properly registered. Okay, so I'm not going to claim to be an expert here. I really can't tell you what to do but I want you to go and check your local community and figure out how to get your business properly registered. Whether you're going to be a sole proprietorship or an incorporation, I probably would say go with a sole proprietorship to start, and when you start making money, then you can go to an LLC if that's what you want to do. But definitely seek out expertise and figure out what your local requirements are for getting your business registered and dealing with taxes and all that kind of stuff. Number 9 is develop a contract or a welcome letter. So number 9 is develop a contract or welcome letter. So I used to do more formal contracts. You can get it reviewed by a lawyer if you like to. I changed that contract into more of a welcome letter. It was something that one of my previous business coaches did, and I quite liked it. And it's really just like, welcome, here are my promises to you and what I expect from you in return in terms of your commitment, It could be around counseling sessions, charging. It could be around your ethics, the accountability of it, who's going to be calling who, whether you're using Zoom, whether you're using telephone, just all of those details. And it's also really good practice for you to just organize your business and your practice and how you want to operate in your business, but also to bring clarity to your clients around what they can expect from you throughout the coaching relationship. And then maybe it means that they have access to certain platforms. I know that I have a coaching accountability membership. I don't know why I did air quotes. I have a coaching accountability membership. And so my one-on-one coaches get access to that platform. Okay, so you just want to outline what is it that they have access to. Okay, tip number 10, checklist item number 10 is decide on your coaching package and structure your offer. So with your coaching package, you want to decide based on the kind of time that you have, what your sessions will essentially look like. Are you offering just a quick start 5-session sort of approach? Are you doing bi-weekly sessions? Are you doing 3 weeks on, 1 week off, like 1 session a week and then you take a week off? Are you doing, 12 sessions over 12 weeks, right? Is it random? Are you just selling 12 session packages or 9 session packages or 6 session packages? I really want you to have an idea of what it is that you want to do. And when you think about that, think about how your lifestyle, what you can sustain, because let's face it, you're busy. This is a side gig for you. You're starting off part-time or deciding to do this part-time. You want it to fit into your life, right? So look at your schedule, be realistic about your schedule. You never want to flake out on coaching sessions, so you want to be able to stick to it every single time, okay? So I wrote an ebook on how to thrive on a 10-hour business week. And I've used this framework, whether you want to work 5 hours a week, 10 hours a week, 20 or 30 hours a week. I have been using this framework since so I'll say month 2 at least from my business coaching business. And I was grateful enough to have, a pretty strong business coach to help me set this up and set this framework up so that it allows me to stay consistent and whatnot. So you want to consider as a coach, like whether you're going to do 5 hours a week, 10 hours a week, 20 hours a week, 30 hours a week, whether this is a part-time gig for you or whether you hope to transition to a full-time business. And also look at your lifestyle, your availability. Like if you are available weekly or bi-weekly or every other weekend or every weekend, depending on what your personal situation is like. I want you to consider that when you structure your own sessions, okay? I also want you to think about the client, who your client is and what their expectations might be in terms of how often they would want to meet with you. Sometimes for accountability coaching, you'll want to do like on a weekly basis just to keep people moving forward. What I found personally is that 3 weeks on, 1 week off worked really well. Because by the time that 3rd week came around, they were kind of getting overwhelmed with their list of to do. And so that having that week break was really nice. And then it ended up being a nice vacation for me. So I always had like a week off every month where I wasn't really fully operating. So that could be that kind of rhythm. You could also sell packages of sessions, right? Like whether it's a 6-session package or a 9-session package or a 12-session package. And then you can sell it as a package and then book it at both of your convenience. So it's got a little bit more flexibility. I find that you can maybe take more clients sometimes in that kind of structure. And then you also want to look at your price point and how you're adding value that way, because you don't want to be taking a ton of money from people and then they're stretching out their sessions over 2 years and not really, really seeing the results, if that makes sense. Okay. The other part of it, I want you to decide on what the perks are. So whether you have premium packages where you're offering a lot more touch points, voice message support, email support, you've got a platform, all of those kinds of things, versus just straight up 1-hour sessions over the phone, right? Or video, right? So you just really want to think about those things. And then from that, let's figure out what your price point is. So you want to have, especially if you're starting out, think about a initial price point and then a goal price point. And I do want you to offer it at a little bit less when you start, and then aim to raise your value to an endpoint goal. And the advantage of lowering the price at the beginning is that you get to say like, hey, I have a new coaching program. I'm experimenting with this. I'm offering at this rate for now, because I'm testing it out, and I would appreciate a testimonial or referrals in exchange for the low price. And then that way you can start building up your coaching practice that way. And then knowing over time that you're going to value yourself a little bit higher, and people will really appreciate, that ground level access to you that they had. Okay. If this is resonating with you, definitely press the like button below. Subscribe to this channel. There's also going to be a playlist for new coaches to help dive into some of this content a little bit more. I know I'm going through this like really quickly today, but I just wanted to kind of give you an overview of how to set up your coaching business. And also, if you need more help, just definitely reach out to me. Okay, comment below, and I'll connect with you. Number 11 of the checklist is to decide where you will find your clients. So this is really just about choosing your distribution channels. Like, the formal term is distribution channel, but where are you going to find your clients? When I first started 10, 12 years ago, I was going to business networking meetings. I would choose specific ones that I would go to every week or every other week. And then I had some of the more like, random ones where, maybe it was like special events and that kind of thing. But showing up consistently to those regular networking meetings was really important for me to get my initial influx of clients, which actually allowed me to build to a full-time business at the time. Now, in these more modern days, I'd say people are going to less networking events, especially when some of the restrictions that have been placed on in-person meetings. But we have social media. So it's the same as social media, where you want to show up consistently, where people get to know, like, and trust you. They get a sense of what your content is, how you can help them. And then also, that personal connection where you're actually messaging with people, talking to people, connecting with them, getting to know them. That's really important too, for them, for two reasons. One, for them to get to know and like and trust you, but also for you to really get a sense of what is it that your clients are looking at, so that you can adjust for their needs, right? So you want to match up the supply with the demand within the nuance of what you actually can offer them and what kind of transformation you can take them through in your coaching business, okay? So it's really deciding on where you're going to find your clients, whether that's LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, am I missing anything? Pinterest, like your blog, however you're going to find your people. You just need to decide. I recommend 1 or 2 places and focus on that, okay? Number 12 is decide on how you will show up on social media to build. So this is where I want to talk about a medium that is comfortable for you. It could be video. It could be doing monthly, weekly, or bi-weekly workshops where you're doing more presentations on PowerPoint. It could be through a blog post. It could be on podcasts. It could be on YouTube. I just want you to decide how and where you're going to show up, okay? And then also get into a rhythm. Again, in my How to Thrive on a 10-Hour Business Week workbook, and then also in the checklist below, I give you a checklist of what you can do on Mondays, on Tuesdays, on Wednesdays, Thursdays, Fridays, Saturdays, so that you have a rhythm every single week. And I essentially call these theme days. Establish your theme days. You just want to get into a rhythm where people are getting into an expectation of when they can see you online, but also it's an expectation for yourself in terms of like when you're connecting with people, when you're showing up online, when you're doing the follow-up, when you're doing coaching calls, when you're doing complimentary calls, when you're doing coaching sessions, all that kind of stuff. So it really gives you a nice structure for your week where you're not slacking, right? Like where you're not like, oh, I didn't do anything. And then you're suddenly like on a Monday, you have all these goals. You think you're going to be doing like these 20 things that you need to do to build your coaching business that week, but you leave it all till Friday, right? So what I would like you to do is to set your days up where you're doing something a little bit every single day, okay? So that's outlined in the checklist. Definitely grab it. Okay, number 13. This is a bit of an advanced tip, but I talked about how to set up your weeks. I also want you to talk about how to set up your months and your quarters and your year. And I feel like this is a really important element for sustainability in your coaching practice, especially if you are doing it part-time, because you definitely don't want to burn out. This entire checklist, I recommend to do it to implement this over about 3 months if you are part-time. It is going to take you a little bit of time to get through this list, and it's not for the faint of heart, right? Because establishing a tagline might take you a little bit of time. Establishing what your actual vision is, what your income goals, figuring out what your 6 sessions are, your onboarding practice, all of that takes a little bit of time. So I don't want you to be necessarily intimidated by this, but I do want you to print out this checklist, stick it on your fridge maybe, or stick it in the binder that you're that you're using to operate your coaching practice with. And I have a ton of more resources here. And again, come back to this channel and check out the playlist, because I'm going to deep dive into more of this stuff as time goes on. Okay, so thanks again for being with me here on the Side Gig Solo Mom YouTube channel, and I will see you in the next episode.